Antlion. Of course, most of you should be familiar with antlions. Those little sand creatures thingy that creates pits of sands to trap ants. There are a lot of antlions or antlion-inspired creatures in popular media after all. However, the funny thing is, some people probably didn't know that this thing, the one you are looking at, is actually an antlion. So, let me bring up the question. What exactly is antlion? First of all, if it's not obvious enough, antlions are insects. Antlion is not a single species, it's a group of animals. To be precise, it's an entire family of animals. Myrmeleontidae literally means ant lion. The closest relative of antlions are the owl flies. Okay, this image is not exactly a good way to show you how similar they are. Let's change it to this image instead. See? Very similar, right? And yes, if it's not obvious enough, the antlions that most people know is just the larval stage. I've already shown you the adult stage earlier, but I'll show you again, side by side with the owl flies. Doesn't seem that similar, isn't it? Alright, let me show you another owl fly. How about this one? Still doesn't seem that similar? Well, good, I guess, because they are classified in their own family after all, so it's intuitive if they look different. I'll talk about the morphology later. Both of them are members of the lacewings order, Ordoneuroptera, which means nerve wing, because of the complex venation of their wing. That's their order. Let's get back to antlions. So, how diverse is the antlion family? The short answer is, well, very diverse. Depends on whose publication you are referring to. There could be up to 4 subfamilies, with up to 17 tribes. There are over 150 genera, with over 2,000 species of antlions. So yes, like I said, very diverse. They can be found around the world, except on the northern region and large sandy deserts. And yeah, the fact that the animal known to make sand pits doesn't actually exist in some deserts might sound shocking, but that's the truth. Now, let's talk about their morphology. First of all, let's talk about their larvae, because that's what most people are familiar with. The larvae have sickle-like jaws with sharp protrusions. Their prothorax is long, enabling them to twist their head quite flexibly. They have 6 legs growing from their thorax. And yes, this big roundish part is their abdomen. And no, their legs don't grow from this roundish part. They are covered with bristles which help anchor their body to their pit or other types of substrates. They don't always make sand pits, but let's talk about that later. For now, let's focus on their morphology. Another thing that I want to point out is the fact that their larvae don't have anus. They do have spinneret though. They use their spinneret to secrete silk which is used to make their cocoon. Their cocoon is just a ball of substrates, which is why they are mostly unnoticeable for those who are not familiar with them. Now let's talk about their adult form. As with many other lacewings, they have 2 pairs of long and net-like wings. Unlike their larvae, they have slender abdomen. They also have 6 legs growing from their thorax, of course, and a pair of compound eyes. Some people might confuse them with damselflies, but the obvious difference is their antennae. Antlions have significantly longer antennae compared to damselflies and dragonflies. You could also check their venation, of course, because it's obviously also different, but that might not be easy to observe unless you catch them or they are just chilling nearby. Now, let's compare them to owl flies, their closest relatives. Starting with their larvae first. At first glance, it might be hard to differentiate them, but owl flies have these protrusions on the edge of their segments. You see how the abdomen is lobed, just like a soft-shelled turtle's carapace bone? Antlion larvae don't have this structure. Now, let's take a look at their adult form. How I usually differentiate them is by looking at their antennae. Owl flies usually have longer antennae, but more importantly, their antennae are strongly clubbed on the tip. Owl flies usually have large compound eyes, which is why they are called owl flies, but it can be quite difficult to observe, especially if you are not familiar with them. So yeah, you can just check the tip of their antennae. Next, let's talk about their lifestyle. But before that, like I hinted earlier, larvae can be found in various substrates, including leaf litters, crevices, and of course, sands. And yes, only some groups make sand pits. Unfortunately, we don't have that much information on antlions that don't make sand pits. Why? Simply because there's not much research on them. And why exactly is that? Well, because for the general public, antlions are known to make sand pits. And before a researcher is a researcher, they are, to put it simply, just a part of the general public. That's why those who are interested in antlions are mostly interested in the sandpit making ones, and that's also why research is focused on those ones. But anyway, let's talk about the generic antlions first. So, adult females lay their eggs into the substrate. In the generally known antlions, they lay their eggs into the sand with their ovipositor, the tip of their abdomen. Eggs can hatch within several days for those that live in warmer regions, to several weeks for those that live in non-ideal regions, like those that live towards the northern region. After they hatch, larvae dig into the sands and make their sand pits. They use their abdomen to dig the soil, which is why they are often seen walking backwards in the sand. They dig in a spiral, which is why it's often cone-shaped, and as you most likely already know, they lie in ambush on the bottom of the pit. For those who don't make sand pits, they simply ambush their prey in crevices or debris. Their prey are mostly small arthropods. Their big jaws are strong enough to hold their prey. Even if not, they also inject venom with their jaw. That helps subdue their prey. Enzymes are also secreted and delivered with their jaw. These basically digest the prey into juices. Then they consume said juice. Because they are not active foragers, their growth rate heavily relies on the amount of prey that stumbles upon their pit. Not only that, they also need to repair their sand pits every now and then, so it's also not a cost-free strategy, which is why their growth rate can be abysmal, and they can stay in their larval stage for months or even years. That's why their larval stage is more famous than their adult form. Like I hinted earlier, after they have grown to their maximum size, they start collecting debris and bind them with their silk. That's their cocoon. After several weeks or even months, they finish their pupa stage. Oh, I did say their larvae don't have anus, right? This is the time when they finally excrete their waste in the form of meconium. Adults are way bigger than larvae. However, they are very light and relatively brittle. Adults are still predator, but they also feed on nectars and pollen. In fact, that's what they mostly eat, or at least as far as we know. Adult stage doesn't last for long. It only lasts for 3 to 6 weeks. Well, to be fair, that's not exactly short lasting for insects. But yeah, mating is quite similar to dragonflies. The male hangs upside down from the female, suspended by its genital apparatus. After several hours, they separate from each other. Oh, by the way, adults don't fly often. That's why most people don't notice their presence. Because they don't fly around. There are not a lot of antlion fossils available, but there are some good ones. There are some good fossils of the Cretaceous period, which you are looking on the screen right now. Sometimes, it's hard to differentiate antlions and owlflies fossil, which is why they are often grouped together, and people just call them owl lions. And yes, that's the general information on antlions. If you look at specific subfamilies or tribes, you can see some variations among them. Like I said earlier, the information we have are mostly on the sandpit making antlions. I hope we'll get more information on the other groups of antlions. But for now, let's just learn what is known. And that's all for now. Oh, by the way, Trapin's, Fibrava, and Flygon are mostly based on antlions, even though they also have some aspects of mayflies and dragonflies. There is a genus of dragonflies called sand dragons after all. Anyway, enjoy your day.